We have a quorum present, and we have a few others in our audience present that are important for this evening's program. And staff, are you going to make the introduction?
Sure. So CORBA, Concerned Off-Road Bicycle Association. Correct, guys? Did I get it right? All right. Mouthful. Bunch of great folks here tonight. Steve is leading the charge, and Steve will be doing a presentation. So Steve, feel free to go to the podium.
Well, I guess I should use the mic.
Yes.
Chair Lang, esteemed directors, members of the staff, thank you for having us. This relationship between CORBA and CRPD is one that I'm very, very proud of, and it's a model that we have shared with other groups around the state and around the country, and it's a winning solution. So we're going to talk about where we are at with the Sapwi Bike Park right now. Also, we have several members of our committee here. Chasen Boswell, he's the chair of the committee at the moment. Peter Sullivan is a chair emeritus and still a member of the board, of the committee and of the CORBA board. And Jeremy Combs is here. And he's also a past chair of the committee. And the three of these guys do the bulk of the work as far as getting the projects on the ground. So my role in this is signing the checks and putting together the amazing team that does all the work. We have Dorothy Sullivan, who's out walking the dog right now. Juan Carlo and Eric aren't able to be here tonight. But it's because of the work of this team that we have a facility that can do things like what we're about to see on a video. And we've done over 4,000 hours was what we reported 4 years ago. We're up to over 8,000 hours now of committee member volunteer work. And from non-committee members who come and join us on our Sunday morning work days and other, there's work that goes on constantly, but the Sunday mornings are where we get our regular work done. And that's over 5,000 hours at this point in the 7 years we've been operating the park. But it's because of all that dedication that we have a video that kind of shows why we did this.
We're here and we're just having fun, strutting, doing all the lines, doing trains, trying to push each other, see what we can do. Yeah, get us behind the other people in front of me. It's like so cool to see what they're doing. A great little community here at Sapwi. It's just dirt jumping in general is just like has one of the best communities ever. And all the riders, just super cool people. And it's just so fun ripping with friends and definitely one of the coolest experiences for sure. It's really cool to see all these different parks and like just to ride different type of riding.
So that gives you a little taste of, what we've created for the community, and what it's led to is these kids have grown up with this facility, and the skill level that they're displaying in this video is second to none. It's amazing. It blows my mind every time I watch it and warms my heart incredibly. But anyway, let's get to how this happened. This is a recap of our timeline, which we presented last time we were in front of the board here in 2020. It started with April 2011 when Mark Langton posted an editorial, Thousand Oaks needs a bike park. And we've worked since 2011 to make this happen. In 2012, we had the big public meeting in this room that I rode all the way from my home over in LA to come to. And 100 people showed up and advocated for a bike park, as well as the Frisbee golf community and the model aircraft community. They also showed up, and it was a turning point for us. Then in October 16, we worked on the master plan with you. In 2017, we formed this committee and to begin fundraising. Then in June 17, we signed an MOU, and that was renewed annually until 2022, when we signed our first 5-year agreement. And that, to me, expresses the trust we have developed in each other, that we can go into a 5-year agreement and do this. And I really appreciate that. Then in 2017, we got the conceptual design. In September 2018, we got the whole community park was opened at a grand opening. At the time, we only had the pump track completed. So it's been a steady increase in the number of facilities we've been able to create for the community. It was 2019 in November that we opened the beginner, intermediate, and advanced jump lines. And then on August 2020, the expert jump line. And there was a strategy behind that. We didn't want to do the expert line at the same time because we wanted to have the community build up their skills by being able to learn on the beginner and progress to the intermediate and advanced jump lines. And then 2020, we opened the expert jump line. And then in fall 2021, we had the concept design for the flow trail, which comes from the upper parking lot and leads down into the park as a alternative to just coming down the paved road. So if on the right is the conceptual design of that park. On the left, it's harder to see, but that's an aerial view of how it looks now. So it wasn't exactly the same as the original concept. We made it quite a little bit less impactful, but still a great way to get from the parking lot down into the park and have fun on the way. Then in February 2022, we installed the ride line features and upgraded the pump track, and also began on the building the flow line. 2023, to help with maintenance, we installed hose reels around the perimeter of the park, which made maintenance a lot easier to manage when we weren't having to drag hundreds of feet of hose across the lines and across the jumps. And then in October 2023, with the guidance of Chase and Jeremy, we built alternative lines. So the original 4 lines that we had now have alternative lines, so kids can mix and match their lines through the park now. And that's really created some more advanced features that the kids are loving. And we also got the skills area installed last year. So it has some balance features and some small drops that are up on the flow line. So we had some big storms in the last couple of years. So in January this year, based on the rainfall we had last year and in anticipation of an El Nino storm season this year, we upgraded some of the drainage in the park. If you could see the bottom left photo, that's one of the puddles that was left after one of those big storms. And that really highlighted our need to put in additional drainage and to manage the runoff from the park much more efficiently. So we got with the drainage workers is in, and the drop lines on the flow line, the drop zone on the flow line has been completed. That's the photo on the right. And that's about a 3-foot drop off that ramp. And there's an easier one, and it's well covered with warning signs that people know there's a drop coming, which is one of the advantages of having a facility like Sapwi Bike Park, where all the features are identified and they're rated for difficulty, and people are given a chance to really progress their skills through that use of the park. So how have we done this? We have raised since 2016, 2017, when we first started fundraising, we've raised $397,889. That's been through some events called Jump Jams, sales of merchandise, a lot of donations, and a lot of grants. And of course, we have to thank the CRPD board for the grants we've received ongoing from the capital improvements program, and that has really made it possible for us to match other funds and other grants with what we've given, with what has come from CRPD. So right now we have about $12,000 on hand to continue maintenance and improvements, and CORBA's current bank account sits at about $65,000. So we're financially in a good position to keep doing this, and I really I applaud the efforts of the committee for all the efforts they've put into the fundraising, because without funding, we couldn't do it. So currently, we're still doing our Sunday morning volunteer maintenance sessions. Every Sunday morning, there's a group out there doing trail work and doing service work on the jumps, making sure they're all in good condition. And that's one of the things that sets our park apart from others, because we're volunteer-led and volunteers are contributing so much to the maintenance. Other parks that are run by agencies generally haven't had the staff levels to do ongoing maintenance every week, and they're typically on a monthly or bi-monthly maintenance schedule. So that's something that sets us apart, and we're really proud of that. And it gets noticed. Everyone that reports it reports on the park, and they always compliment us on how well maintained we keep it. And we've done other steps to reduce maintenance needs, including soil tack treatments and the drainage work that you saw about. We've just added some additional signage for educational purposes, informational, and for safety. We're still trying to grow our volunteer base, but it has been picking up lately as people have gotten more engaged and seen the benefits of the trail. And we're looking at expanding the skills area next. And then eventually we'd love to be able to pay a crew to do the maintenance and take the onus off the volunteers who are doing this, who've been doing this for so long, because we don't want to burn out our volunteers, and they're sitting in front of you. So one of the great things about it is how we've built a community around this park, and the jump jams, these events, we've had one for 3 years now at Halloween, and having a bunch of kids out there going over the jumps in dinosaur costumes and spaceman costumes, and just having a really fun time has really brought the community together. We're buying lunch for the volunteers sometimes that really rewards them and thanks them for giving their time to get dirty and help us with it. And at our last year's Sapwi Jump Jam, we had Mountain Bike Action come out, and we had 2 Mountain Bike Hall of Famers, a BMX Hall of Famer out there as an MC, and it got a lot of attention, and people really, really appreciate it. And then you just saw the Privello, which is a local bike company that makes kids' bikes, and the video you saw was a bunch of the kids who work with Privello. And they are ambassadors for the park. They have done a lot, and Privello has been a continuing supporter of the park as well. So that's about the bike park, but I wanted to take an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about what CORBA is doing beyond just the Sapwi Bike Park. So we have a free monthly bike skills clinic that we conduct over in Malibu Creek State Park. I instruct that myself with another volunteer. We've been doing trail maintenance now for, well, we're all 37 years old, and we started out doing trail work that in 1987. But work in the National Forest, in the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area and Costco Open Space, and sometimes with LA County and other smaller agencies. We have our Youth Adventures program where we get every other week, we have a group of kids come out from inner city groups from all over Los Angeles area. They come out, they're given a guided interpretive mountain bike ride where they meet a ranger, they get to see all the flora and fauna and get an interpretive session, and then they go for a 3-hour bike ride guided through Malibu Creek State Park. That program has been going on for 33 years. And at this year's California Trails and Greenways Conference 2 weeks ago, we were awarded the Kids and Trails Merit Award for that program. So we do a lot of land protection advocacy too. Recently, President Biden signed the expansion of the San Gabriel Mountains National Monument. That's a campaign that I've been working on for 20 years. And it's and to have those land protections that are friendly to recreation, that bring in underserved communities and connect underserved communities to their public lands is something that I feel is really important for us. Something else we've done as in 1988, which was the year after CORBA formed, we joined 4 other clubs in California to create the International Mountain Bicycling Association, IMBA, which many of you have probably heard of, because IMBA has now gone on to set the standards for trail development that have been adopted by many of the federal and local agencies around the country. And in 2019, I was one of the founders of the California Mountain Biking Coalition. And California Mountain Biking Coalition, in 2019, it was 5 clubs in California, just like when IMBA was founded. But California, CMTB, we call it, is now up to 35 member organizations all over the state. And I have the honor of representing California mountain bikers to the legislature, to agencies, and working with all of those organizations to support their efforts to create more opportunities for trail recreation. We also participate in COSCA and Conejo Open Space Foundation Trail Education Days and COSCA's Spring and Fall Work Days. So there's a lot more going on than just the bike park as well. And part of that work is working with other coalitions. So I've been serving on the San Gabriel Mountains Community Collaborative in support of the National Monument since 2014. That monument just got expanded, and we'll be forming a federal advisory committee to support that. We're active in the Sustainable Outdoor Recreation Collaborative, which is a Region 5 of the Forest Service, which is all of California. And I have, again, the honor of representing mountain bikers on the steering committee of that organization. We participate in Recreate Responsibly. It's the California Coalition. There's also a national organization, but that organization is there to promote responsible use of recreational facilities, including trails. And that was formed in 2020 when trails were closed down under COVID, and there wasn't a lot of guidance on how to be safe around under a pandemic condition when you were out on trails. Of course, we know a lot better now that the outdoors was a pretty safe place to be, but the coalition has continued on to do, winter safety messaging and trail safety messaging and other ways to promote responsible recreation. So I've already mentioned that we're a California Mountain Biking Coalition member. One of the exciting things that we've just done is introduced a bill that I happened to write that will declare California Mountain Biking Month in June this year. So on June 3rd, I'll be up in the state legislature on the floor of the assembly reading our resolution into the record. And the resolution talks about how mountain biking can bring communities together. It's good for mental health, good for physical health, how it supports rural economies and local economies with recreational tourism. And so having this read into the record is very exciting. Something that has come out of that is the County of San Diego and the East Bay Regional Parks District have just declared June their own mountain biking month in parallel with what we do. So there's an opportunity here if you're listening to my hint. We also have a committee up in Santa Clarita Valley who have been working with the city up there, building new trails and working on a bike park now up there that's going to be called the Blue Cloud Bike Park. And I'm also involved in the Outdoor Alliance California Policy Shop. So we are affecting legislation at the federal and state level to support recreation, support public lands protection, and support those who are underserved and unable to connect to their public lands. And of course, we're an IMBA affiliate as one of the founders. Then we became a chapter. So in essence, we became our own grandparent, if that makes sense. But the photo in the bottom left was our trip to Washington, D.C. to advance the Explore Act, which passed the House. And I'll be back there in July and again in September working on the Senate to get the Senate to adopt the Explore Act, which is a recreation package with lots of good bills in there for connecting people to public lands and supporting recreation on public lands. So everything from getting my hands dirty and doing trail work, having these crews together, going to Sacramento and Washington, D.C., it's all part of what CORBA is doing and to advance the recreation community. So with that, I'd welcome any questions, and I'd offer, if any of you have any comments that you'd like to add.
Guys have any other comments you'd like to? Go up to the podium. So we're recording.
I'm Peter Sullivan. I'm also director of CORBA. I think Steve covered it all. I don't have more to add, but I just want to say thank you for your continued support. This is awesome. I'm proud of what we've done.
Thank you so much. Any other gentlemen like to speak? Oh, thank you. Oh, that's great. What a team, what a team. I'm going to ask our board members for any comments at this time, and then I'll conclude with some of my own. So, Mr. Chuck Huffer.
Wow, what you guys have accomplished in what I consider to be a relatively brief period of time, and we have sports and recreation groups in town that have been around for 50, 60 years, and they're still trying to organize and fundraise and accomplish what you folks have accomplished in a fairly short period of time. I have a longtime friend who lives just a block or two away from Sapwi, and we frequently go out and walk by there. And I'm always amazed at watching the people go through those jumps, and the video you showed with the young people. Most of the time when I'm walking by there, I see older like your age group as opposed to the young kids. But what those youngsters were doing on the jumps was absolutely amazing. The support that you've been giving to the community, not just cycling, but helping out with COSCA in various areas. It's important to me because I also have to be on the COSCA board. So, you know, the fact that you guys are helping with trail days and supporting some of the other COSCA activities is great. I was going to ask a question. I think it was answered on the slide, though, that you do have at least some type of informal education or training for newcomers to the sport, teaching them what they should or shouldn't do on the trails there. And the fundraising that you've done and the amount of funds that you've put into developing and maintaining this park is just really impressive. So the one question I have is, what kind of programs do you have? What sort of systems, if any, do you have in place for safety of the bicycle riders? I know that see them all wearing helmets, which is certainly a good start, but even with a helmet, if they hit one of those jumps the wrong way, what systems do you have in place to take care of incidents?
Well, as I mentioned during the presentation, we built the beginner and intermediate and advanced lines first. And by doing the beginner line, which is very simple, just about anyone could just roll over that and not have any issues. It was to allow progression of skills. So we also have a lot of signage saying that this is the beginner line, this is the intermediate line, and we encourage people to start on the beginner line. And they get a lot of peer pressure, and peer learning happens in the park based on the community we've built. So it's a matter of the kids and the park users almost policing themselves and sharing their information among themselves, which makes a big difference to safety. But having these facilities is also a lot safer than having the unauthorized trail modifications that were happening with much more frequency before we had this park. And there were a lot of injuries on the unsanctioned jumps that existed in the past. So having a controlled environment where kids can learn and progress on very consistent terrain really helps with the safety and with their skill development.
Okay, and do you encourage your users to be there at least in small groups? At least two or ideally at least a small group of people, so that if something happens to one of the riders, that someone else is available to help out or reach out for help.
Yeah, I don't think we've had to encourage that because it's a very social sport, and the community that builds up there, a lot of people will come and bring friends. And so it's very rare. There's not a lot of people who would show up by themselves, but even when they do, there are usually other people there. And most people are very comfortable with very familiar with their own comfort level on the jumps, and anyone who's there by themselves would not try something that is beyond their skill level. And that's another reason to have a variety of skill level features to be able to accommodate that.
Great. Thank you for your answers to my questions and congratulations again to your entire group for everything you've done in a relatively short period of time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Hufford. Director Cutsworth.
So I found it very interesting, your kind of whole overview of all the organizations that you're with and CORBA. How far of a distance does CORBA have influence?
Our operating territory when we were formed in 1987 was the rim of the valley corridor. So that included the Santa Monica Mountains, the Conejo Valley, the Santa Susana Mountains, and the Verdugo Mountains and Angeles National Forest. I'm still engaged with the Forest Service on many levels, but there's two new organizations that have come into existence and have really stepped up their work in the forest. And so generally, we cover the rim of the valley corridor, and that's one of the bills that we're actually supporting too, is Adam Schiff's Rim of the Valley Corridor Act.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I was really impressed with all of the political things that you were doing and that how far reaching your organization was and how nice it is that we have somebody local that's so involved in the whole community area. I was also wondering the age range. We just saw kids there, but then Director Huffer mentioned that he usually sees adults there. So do you have what's the age range of people that are using the bike park?
We see kids there on strider bikes, which have no pedals and, 2-3 years old sometimes. We see a lot of families coming out and enjoying it together, where the dad was a mountain biker and now he has a children who are in that age range, and they're out there and able to enjoy the park together. So it's a very broad range. They're all kids, just some of them are adult kids.
And so do all of you have children? Did you get your kids involved, or is this no? No, you're just out there doing it on your own.
They're
Okay.
big kids.
You're the big kid, which made me wonder, how many volunteers do you have? Is it just these 3 guys?
No, our committee is 8 people right now, and on volunteer days they can speak to how many people show up, anywhere from 5 to 15.
Okay,
on
that's,
average
I mean,
day.
you're doing a lot of work with just that many people. So I think that's commendable, because when I'm looking at that and reins and everything, I thought, what do you have, like about 50 people out there working on this? But just some very dedicated men, I guess. Okay. Well, it's very nice. Is this one of the premier bike parks in the Rim of the Valley area, would you say? Or-
Absolutely. It has the best reputation in Southern California for the quality of the jumps and the quality of and consistency of the maintenance.
Oh, congratulations. You've done a lot. Glad to have you, be part of CRPD. Thank you.
And we're delighted as well.
Thank you, Director Cutsworth. Director Buss.
So my first exposure to the park was my girlfriend has 4 boys and 1 little girl. And all of a sudden I see this video on Instagram, and it's her little girl at 5 years old going off these jumps. And I'm like, where in the world are you? And how is your 5-year-old like doing this? And she's like, she just wants to keep up with her brothers. And she's like, it's right here in Thousand Oaks. And I was like, really? And this was about 4 years ago. So I hadn't been out there. And then last year I got to go out there on one of the tours, and we're out there during the day, and I saw a adult using it during the day. And I was like, this is so cool that we have this in our community for all these different age ranges. And I was really impressed with like how well it was maintained. I mean, I kind of want to try it. I'm a little scared, I'm not gonna lie. Is this like a sport that you can start over 40?
People do.
Maybe. I might have to go out there. Maybe I'll need like a tutorial. I might try it.
One of our committee members, Juan Carlo, he's got into the bike park. He was never a jumper before. He's older than me. He's over 60.
Yeah, I just remember my dad flipping his mountain bike and landing on him, and we were in Big Bear and he had to be taken to the hospital. I was like, that is a little bit traumatizing, but the beginner track, I think maybe I could do.
The beginner track and the pump track.
Yeah, it's very impressive though, being out there, seeing it in person and on Instagram. So congratulations and thank you for the partnership.
Thank you, Director Buss. Director Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My first question is, are all mountain bikers type A energetic go-get-em personalities?
Not all.
Not all of them, but a lot of my friends are, and
Okay, so-
including these 3.
Seems like you've got a select crew here that fit that quality. And it's very impressive. I first heard of CORBA when Mark Langton was one of our inaugural members in the Trail Advisory Committee. And he was doing his writing and learned all about that. And to see where it's come is amazing, how far. Of course, the sport has grown too, which is fantastic. But just to see the impact that you have had locally, because I know it started with the Santa Monica Mountains and Casca and grown into things like this. And this is a follow-up. I know you refer to this group as a committee, I guess, or I'm not quite sure how your formal structure is, but you were listing a number of the different roles that CORBA plays. Do you have similar groups where you've got, 8 or 10 people in various committees doing different branches of CORBA activities? Is
Yeah,
that how it works?
Yeah, CORBA has a board of directors, and then we have a committee for the bike park. We have a committee who operates up in Santa Clarita, and we have a committee in Palos Verdes. And those are our 3 standing committees that do work outside over and above what CORBA's core mission is.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because I know you have, obviously there's many different activities. Another thing I was interested in, we talk about these flow lines, I guess it is, whether it's the beginner, advanced, or is that what you're referring to? Are those the flow lines?
Now, those are the jump lines.
Those are the jump lines. Okay.
The flow line will be rideable by anybody.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
it'll be-
okay.
yeah.
Well, with those different lines, because I know you've spent a lot of time over there out in the years of kind of doing this, and I know it's engineered where it's actually done correctly, and you can see how the ramps are all set up with that. But is this something where it's very fluid, that you're constantly looking, like the Disneyland thing? Yeah, we're going to set it up for a few years, but then we're going to change it. Or is this like, once you get it, it's static, it's there, and we're not going to change it again?
That was the original design that was static and what we built. And then having expertise from Chase and Jeremy, we've been able to expand that now and make some changes that have filled in those gaps and made other options available.
Okay, because I just was imagining, especially seeing, those, waves of kids coming over there. At some point, when somebody might say, I want to go this way, and they kind of turn, I can see where it might be a little congestion and things like that. And just because I want to try something new or different. So I'm sure you guys have got that all dialed in, but for me, it'd be a little scary. Then another question I had, I know the Newbury Park High School has got quite a bicycle contingent. Are you folks trying to get involved with, I'm not purposely or perhaps by invitation, with the high schools to provide expertise, consulting, training? Do you participate in those types of activities?
I'll let Peter answer that.
Oh, hey, all right. Another type A, go ahead.
So Dorothy Sullivan, my wife, and
Yes.
I we're the first original coaches 11 years ago.
Oh, very good.
I
Okay.
started the team.
Okay.
So we stayed with the team for the first 10 years. So yes, we were trained coaches, first aid, wilderness first aid. I was a coach trainer also, so I coach coaches to be coaches.
Okay.
So that's, the quick down and dirty of the history of that team and our
And-
involvement.
And was that just a personal interest that wasn't really part of CORBA per se?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's why I figured, that's why I asked if you're all type A, because I think you guys are just involved in so many different things.
And no, I don't have any kids on the team.
Then the last thing, I don't know if this is a touchy subject or not, but with e-bikes now kind of picking up a notch, how does that fit, or does it fit into what you're doing, and how do you kind of interject yourself into that realm?
Well, it's a challenge for sure, because e-bikes are becoming the most popular new form of cycling. And we get a lot of requests, and we see a lot of e-bikes wanting to go to the park, but it was not designed for them. The e-bikes tend to be a lot heavier. And if people aren't skilled or don't ride properly, they also have extra power that they can do more damage to the trails and the jump lines. So we don't allow them. That doesn't mean they don't get out there occasionally, and we have issues with chasing them out occasionally. But yeah, we don't. It wasn't designed for them, and frankly, you don't need an e-bike to ride anything in that park. It is actually a hindrance in a lot of ways because of the extra weight that the e-bike carries. Oh, yeah, the flow line will be open to e-bikes, but not the inside the park.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I know it's challenging for all of us at this point. It's because it's new. I don't think it's because necessarily a lot of people are purposely trying to, not follow rules, but because it's growing so fast, they just don't even know that there are rules.
It's part of the agencies trying to catch up with industry. It's
exactly,
the biggest
exactly,
challenge. I've been on an out of class electric bicycle working group for a couple of years now, with Brian Stark from Costco, who's been on that group with me as well.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for the answer to the questions, for the presentation. Always enjoy hearing the latest and the greatest. And again, appreciate all your help because I know that those Sunday mornings can get pretty laborious, and appreciate the effort that you guys put in for us.
Thank you, Director Nichols. And as a previous, and I have to say that with the 2 hip replacements and a knee, previous mountain biker myself, I could be here all evening chatting with you guys. And as Steve knows, Jim Hassenauer on the MRCA Board of Directors
Yep.
was one of the founders of CORBA, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I stand on some very, very tall shoulders.
Yeah, in fact, when you were talking about the conferences you attended, he was at the Gratitude Circle event this past Monday. And as we were chatting, he was telling me all the conferences that he attended, and you told me this evening that you were with him.
Yeah.
So you guys are very busy, and I appreciate the efforts and all the comments of our board. A number of things, and Director Nichols did bring up the Newbury Park High School group. They were in the parade, and I don't know how many, I would estimate 50. Anybody knows how many?
Seemed like it.
I mean, they were doing tricks on, everything safely. But that was really neat to see these young guys and girls out there in the parade on their mountain bike in mass. So anyway, if you have any opportunity to chat with somebody from that Newbury Park High School mountain bike club, please thank them because they did add to the ambiance of the parade. One of the things I was going to ask Andrew, they were talking about all the drainage issues that they faced with these last big storms. Now, are you and our staff involved in working with them to correct that situation?
Yeah, so the agreement, how it is, they do the work inside. And so there obviously is kind of some shared responsibility. And so our grounds staff, we actually have a grounds worker 3 on site that's in coordination with CORBA as well as the disc golf group and all that. So they work together on things. And then I know Matt's in communication on a regular basis and the ground supervisor to see how we can help and assist them do their thing. And then if we can kind of collaborate on things. So yeah, it's kind of ongoing conversation in the park. So
yeah, very important. And this association collaboration is beautiful. And that obviously adds to the ambience of and the level of park that we have. And like you said, best in California, probably. So thanks, you guys.
Thank
You're
you.
great. Appreciate it. Well, what a way to start a meeting. Thank you, Steve and crew. Any other comments or questions? Okay, we're moving on.